That is a very smooth startup here in the Genesis GV70. This is a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 coming at just shy of $70,000, $69,350. Today I'm going to tell you if it's worth that chunk of change. Beautiful Genesis logo as we lift up the hood. Twin turbo V6, 3.5 liters, measuring at 375 horsepower and a whopping 391 pound-feet of torque, made it exclusively to an 8-speed automatic transmission. You're gonna see somewhere around 20 miles per gallon. We'll talk more about fuel economy here in a little bit. Love the V6 decal there, a little twin turbo on the back, a very nice engine presentation here. Aluminum suspension reinforcement, gotta like that. Now we also have exclusive all-wheel drive here with this GV70. And check the front end out, absolutely gorgeous, very regal. Some people will say this looks like a Bentley. We have those parallel daytime running lights here. And this is the Sports Prestige package, which is gonna give us some additional sportiness with the gloss black here at the bottom. Parallel daytime running lights with the quad beam nighttime lights above and below. We have the 21-inch wheels here that are optional. These are so unique because Genesis not only gives us huge brakes here, but check out this spider web or golf ball. I guess it's not golf ball. It's more of a spider web like pattern here. And it just looks so unique. And as we come to the side, we have a little 360 camera there, blacked out roof rails here, and also dark chrome around the window edges. And it just is a gorgeous looking car. This is, I believe, the Capri blue color. And this particular example is built in Alabama. That's the first time that I remember GV70 being built there. That's not the fully electric GV70. I thought most of them were coming in from Korea, but now they have production capacity here in North America as well, which is going to spell well, potentially in the future for maybe EV tax credit, that sort of thing. Huge fat exhaust tips back here. And this is all kind of matte black. It's not the most premium looking around the license plate. Doesn't look 70K to me, but the exhaust tip looks really, really nice. Flat Genesis typing here, and this will actually lift the lift gate for you. Sometimes it's underneath here, but we have a really big lift gate here, and check out the amount of cargo space. Very, very impressive. Underneath here, spare tire, how about that? We also have the beautiful documentation here for your vehicle, warranty information, manual, all that good stuff here in the cargo tray as well. A little net to keep in, I don't know, a melon, 12 volt just in case you want to do some accessories. And look at even the attention to detail on the accessory light. Notice it has that crisscross pattern that we saw on the grille. Pretty incredible. Now we can fold down the seats here, and we also have another light right there. Fold down the seat, you got to hold down that lever, hold down this lever. Very nice weight to them. You can see the speakers here. This has a Lexus sound system, which is absolutely amazing. You can check out how that really nice headliner comes all the way back here as well. Pretty much a flat floor and very, very functional as most crossovers are, right? So let's go ahead and get in the back seat of the GV70. And let's just talk about the feeling of these doors. Just because it's built in Alabama and not in Korea doesn't mean it's not extremely well built. The feeling of this door is elite luxury. The sound of it, yes, it keeps beeping and we hear lots of sirens going on right now, but it's just, you know, the fit and finish here and the build quality does seem really, really impressive. I haven't noticed a drop from the Korean models. We have a sunshade here, beautiful stitching on the door, not only in the top, but this red two-tone, and then you have this amazing carbon fiber trim inside the door handles. Lexus can take a page out of the Genesis playbook and put some carbon fiber in their sport models. There's that Lexus sound system. Doesn't look that fancy. You know, that's maybe one of the few areas the car doesn't exude luxury, is maybe the speaker grill is just a little underwhelming. Genesis door sill here that looks really, really nice. And let's go ahead and fold these seats back up and check out the quilting on these red Napa leather seats. Absolutely amazing. I can lean them back as well. And as a dad, I like having easy access here to the child seats. So let's get in the back. And I remember this always being an issue with the Genesis GV70. I don't necessarily need much more headroom, even though it is a little bit tight. It's my leg room sometimes can be a little bit tight back here, but to be honest, this seat's comfortable enough that I could stay back here for a while. Huge panel sunroof. It is very dark tinted, which is great down here in Florida, to be honest, but if you're up north, you might not want to have this dark of a tint. You want more light to come in during the winter. It's just not going to allow that much light to come in. I can adjust the VIP seat here. So if I'm sitting over here, I can have more legroom and move that seat all the way forward if no one is sitting up here. We have tri-climate control, which is optional, so I can adjust the fan speed back here. I can just put it on auto. I have heated outboard seats, do not have ventilated outboard seats here on this particular model, but nice tiny vents right here, and that's all I got. I don't have vents over here, and so this is mainly like a knee cooler, but this cabin is so small and gorgeous. My gosh, I could look at this all day. But this cabin is so small that having small vents right here, you're probably not going to need additional cooling because the vents up there are going to get the job done. This one locked into place. There we go. Had to do the little reach around there and get that back up. And you just, man, these seats are so gorgeous. Lean it back a little bit more to match this other seat here. And it's just the feeling of this leather is very firm yet comfortable at the same time. Pulling the armrest down. I thought this was a Genesis logo for a second, but you know what it is? This is hard touch and this is a rubber stopper. So if you fly this up, it has a really satisfying and soft close to it. It's not loud. So I like that attention to detail. Cup holders here, of course. And let's go ahead and get in that front seat. Interesting, we actually have the unlock buttons because there's no physical unlock like lever. So you have to do the unlock here. And here I missed the Lexicon speaker grill actually looking pretty good. It would have been nice if that bottom one had that sort of attention to detail. And I'm locked back here. The child seat locks must have been enabled, which I did not do. There we go. There's that child seat lock. Ow. And let's go ahead and open the door. Oh, in worst case scenario, I could have just climbed into that front seat, which would have been entertaining for you guys. But just like that back door, this door feels so heavy. And heavy is, it's not soft close, unfortunately. That would have been next level. And I'll point this out. We have smart access up here. We don't have smart access here, which I think is a pretty big miss for 70K. All right, so let's go ahead and get on the inside of the front. Exquisite detail, super high premium, soft touch materials, feels very firm at the same time. Memory seats here on the driver, carbon fiber again, and that Lexicon speaker down there at the bottom. We have massaging seats with this button, lumbar control. You're gonna have bolster control as well with this sport model. Just absolutely gorgeous. I love the thigh extension, the Genesis mat. You got the fancy pedals with that specific material and pattern on there that matches the grille. And even the dead pedal has nice attention to detail. Red and black is the theme of this sport model, and it is pretty incredible. Huge 14-inch screen. I love this widescreen here. The only thing is, check this out. This is as far as my arm goes, and it is a touchscreen, so I have to lean forward. So it's not the most ergonomic in that regard. So maybe in a refresh or something, or a redesign GV70, we could get it a little bit closer to the driver here. But it does look good up there, I'll say that. Now I can manipulate the screen with this rotary dial and touchpad here, and that's what I do a lot of the time. It is pretty functional in that regard, and you can adjust where these icons are. I put Android Auto all the way onto the left. Speaking of Android Auto, phone's right here. It has to be wired and plugged in via USB-A, not even USB-C. So Genesis, and your wireless charger's in there too, by the way, but Genesis just kind of still not getting up with the modern times. Santa Fe that I drove this past week had wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and the GV70 still does not have that elite connectivity here. This is that 3D screen, which I turn it off because it makes me a little nauseous. So I just make it a flat image, and I like seeing the tack. It does transform when you change your mode. So Sport Plus, Sport, Eco, Comfort, it all has their own individual screen there, which is pretty cool. I just keep it on Comfort most of the time because it is very comfortable and soft and smooth, just like a luxury vehicle should be. But I'll play 0 to 60 for you guys here after I cover the interior. Okay, so the steering wheel, nice red stitching on it here at the bottom as well. What do I think about the quality of this stitching? It it's okay. I wouldn't even say it's luxury grade, but the quality material is quite impressive. My hands feel really good. You have the paddle shifters, which are easy to get to. The heft and the feeling of the turn indicators feel really, really nice. And yes, we have that blind spot view monitor here to help with your blind spot. So you can see that Buick driving behind me. Of course, you have blind spot monitored there on the side of the mirrors. All right, you're gonna have a 360 camera here. Press this button, immediately pulls up. There's no delay. That was really impressive. I want to show you guys how fast that was. There we go. Really, really impressive there with the 360 camera. And if I go to back to Android Auto, which is really easy to do, home, and then press down on that, my radio stations for my Sirius XM can stay up here, while I have about 12 inches of real estate for that. I don't ever have full 14 inches of real estate for my Android Auto, unfortunately. Most people won't care though, because the screen just looks so good. All right, I do not have a digital rear view mirror like I had in the Santa Fe calligraphy last week. And also like the Santa Fe calligraphy last week, I have a nice head-up display here. Unfortunately, unlike that Santa Fe, my Android Auto directions do not pop up on my head-up display. So we're dealing with a little bit old, antiquated head-up display here compared to the most recent Hyundai technology. All right, everything on the dash here, soft touch, the stitching's amazing. This pattern around the climate control is pretty pleasing to the eye, kind of soft, rounded ovals that match the door handle area as well. Everything seems very cohesive in here. And I love the climate control big knobs with the digital screen on the inside. You have this additional touchscreen here to play with your climate control, heated and ventilated seats, of course, and you do have the auditory response to let you know that you actually hit it. And there's also haptic feedback, so the screen vibrates a little bit to let you know you actually hit the screen. But pretty simple to use here. You still have shortcut buttons, and I've always felt that these feel a little bit cheap, these kind of piano keys, silver piano keys. They kind of feel a little bit cheap compared to the rest of the vehicle. All the other switches, the scroll wheels for the volume and tune, the rotary dials here, they all feel really, really nice and premium. These just feel a little out of place there. This might confuse some people. I'm so used to it in Genesis vehicles, but this rotary dial is awfully close to your drive select, which is kind of like that old phone. Your rotary dial phone, you press over to a certain area and it returns back to center. That's what's going on here. But I just love the detail inside of this as well. It does sync up with your ambient lighting. And let's move on to that carbon fiber. We said it was on the doors, but it's also here. And you also have, I wouldn't say it's soft touch, but even this dash portion here is color matched to match the dash. It's really hard to match colors when you have different materials. So you have a hard touch here and a soft touch, and they look to the eye identical. All right, moving to the armrest. I have a 12 volt in there, just like we had in the cargo area. This entire thing is felt lined. Not only that, you have this coin tray that's felt lined, or gum stick tray, and then you have additional felt here at the very bottom. I don't know if there's a light. It doesn't look like there's a light in there, but I can't see entirely. But I am assuming that there's no light in there, which would have been nice at nighttime. So with that being said, with this beautiful headliner as well, I think it's time to start driving the gorgeous Genesis GV70. Brake torque to about 2200 RPM in Sport Plus. 0 to 60 and 5.19, and 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.48. It doesn't launch particularly hard, but once that boost comes in, you're off to the races. And in sport modes, these shifts are very, very strong. You feel the vehicle tilt and pitch and dive forward. Compared to when you're just, cruising around town, the shifts are nice and buttery. So I like how Hyundai has really put in some extra sportiness, some more feeling into the car when you're in sport mode and Sport Plus mode. Jeez, just so much torque and power. It sounds good as well. You ring this twin turbo V6 out and it has a very satisfying and smooth engine note to it. It still seems super powerful, almost like a V8, but you have that torque punch that only can be felt with forced induction with the twin turbos here. But when you're just cruising around, it's pretty much completely silent. We have double paned windows here, at least on the front, and double pane windshield. Hear the van a little bit go by. It's not the world's quietest vehicle, and it's not the world's most like incredible performing vehicle. Where the GV70 shines here when you drive it and get to look at it, it just does everything so well. And in the past, I've dinged it for a few things. In the past, I dinged it for the start-stop engine technology being pretty invasive and annoying. Now you're still gonna notice it here, but when that engine turns off and turns back on, it doesn't like shake the whole car and like take you out of that luxurious experience. Yes, you can still defeat it somewhere. I think there's a button. Yeah, here it is. It took me a bit to find it. It's all the way over here on the far left end. There's a button for taking off the auto engine start stop. I haven't actually used it once because they've refined it here in this 2024 model compared to the years past, where it was just too jerky and too upsetting. So brake down, engine turn off, barely heard it turn off. Foot off the brake, super smooth. Another thing that Genesis in the past with this 8-speed auto is that when you get on the brakes and slow down, in my testing in previous models anyways, you would feel that engine braking. Even in comfort mode, you'd feel the engine braking. It would mess up the predictability of your braking, at least again in my experience. I don't have that anymore. So the two biggest things that took me away from feeling like, man, this car's so good, was the engine stop-start being too abrupt and the engine braking being too intrusive and messing up with my braking predictability. That's all fixed here, seemingly. I haven't had any of those issues here in the 2024 model. So bravo, Genesis. That's what you want in a luxury vehicle. You want refinement year over year. It might not show up in a press release. It might not show up on, let's say, the skid pad or at the track. But when you put your butt in a luxurious seat like this, which I'm going to turn on that massaging seat function here, you just are so appreciative of the small improvements. The endless pursuit of perfection is what Lexus used to call it. And Genesis here is out Lexusing Lexus with the quality of materials, focusing on a rear-wheel drive platform, still in the era of internal combustion. Where Genesis could improve here, I guess, would be bring the screen forward, like I said, updating, the software so you have wireless connectivity, where you have your phone's Android Auto connecting to the head-up display. It's just kind of the really small techie things at this point, which is surprising because when this GV70 came out, that's where it did things really well, was the techie end. Well, of course, a lot of other things well too, but that wasn't one of its lacking features. Now those things kind of stand out because everything else in the vehicle has been honed to perfection. There's a GV70 right there in silver. That one is a 2.5-liter turbo. You can tell by the exhaust shape. That one is kind of more of like a 4 or 5-sided exhaust enclosure. This one's like the big circles, which both of them look really nice. But the 2.5-liter, as I put my foot down here, even in comfort, it's not quite as fast as this twin-turbo V6, but in my opinion, it is an absolute gem of an entry-level powertrain. It has 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. I drove a front-wheel drive orientation of it this past week with the Santa Fe. I can't talk about the driving impression, I'm still under embargo, but I have driven the 2.5 turbo GV70, and I'm like, that's all the engine I need. And I think that's all the engine 99% of luxury buyers need as well. 300 horsepower, for my measurements, always has been like the sweet spot for everyday performance. And then you have 311 pound-feet of torque on top of it. And then you can save a bunch of money. It looks just as good. It handles just as good in my opinion as well. So as much as this twin-turbo 3.5-liter is impressive, you don't need to spend an extra 10 grand or whatever to get this, because that 2.5-liter is so impressive. And it gets slightly better fuel economy as well. I'm getting about 20 miles per gallon here, and that's what it's rated at on the Monroney sticker as well. AC in here has actually been really, really good. I'm gonna tone it down as the sun's starting to come up a little bit more here, but the AC works in here fantastically. I'm gonna turn on the ventilated seats. And I have this opportunity to pull out here. Pedal down all the way. I would never ever go into sport mode. I did sport mode for my 0 to 60 as you guys saw. I don't like the extra harshness of the shifts on a daily basis, and this thing is still a rocket with its power and comfort mode. Is the steering a little bit too soft here in comfort mode? In my opinion, no. It's still very direct, and I'm just happy. I think this is a perfectly tuned luxury car here in comfort mode. Smooth shift, smooth operation, light enough steering that still has enough feedback. So yeah, I think I've said enough about the GV70 at this point. You don't need the twin turbo V6. You don't need to spend almost $70K to get all the extra bits and bobs because, like I said, the head-up display, it's not the latest cutting edge, right? And this 14-inch screen comes standard if I remember correctly. So I'd be getting the single turbo 4-cylinder, and it's only, I think it's about a second slower to 0 to 60, maybe even less. It's so fast. Both of them are so fast. This one's just all that extra gravy. So if you're an extra gravy person, then maybe this twin turbo V6 is for you. And these seats, you know, yes, they're on the sportier end. They're definitely firm, but my gosh, I could sit in them all day long, especially when they're massaging me. This ventilated seat that I turned on is cutting through all my layers very nicely to cool me down. Like, fantastic. So I love the exterior design of the Genesis GV70, love the interior design. I loved actually the fully electric model or variant of this as well. I just don't have enough great things to say. There's just a few things holding it back, like maybe leg space in the rear. But now they've smoothed out all the weird transmission cutting in when you're braking. They smooth out the engine start stop. I'm just so happy here driving the Genesis GV70. It is a fantastic luxury vehicle. It looks the part, it feels the part, and it performs the part. And that's what you want. You want to hit all those bases as a luxury car. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you, Genesis, for sending me the GV70. It's always hard to get rid of it when I get a new press vehicle because it's just, it's so good. But I'm going to end it there. This vehicle is worth every single penny. Even if you have to spend $70 to get the twin turbo V6, I still think it's worth the money. But you could still be getting 99% of the same experience, spending about 10, 15 grand less with the 4-cylinder turbo that has fantastic performance. There's one of my favorite cars, LC500. Genesis, where's your luxury coupe? Maybe I'll call you out for that. They don't need one when they have something this good. All right, thank you guys for watching. Thanks, Genesis, once again. New York Police Department vehicle here in Naples. I think, oh, you know why? The St. Patrick's Day parade is today here. So anyways, I'm gonna shut it down. Thank you guys for watching. I'm glad I'm not getting pulled over for going too fast. That's always a good thing as well. Thank you guys again. Oh, another LC500? Jeez, we're spoiled today. Just surrounded by luxury here in the Genesis GV70. Have a good day and peace out.